It's your first day on the job. You trained for this. You believed in this. You drove into Raccoon City with a clean uniform, a loaded weapon, and the kind of optimism that only exists before the world teaches you what it actually is. And then the world teaches you. Within hours, everything you prepared for becomes irrelevant. The city is gone. The people are gone. The institution you gave yourself to. The badge. The oath. The entire framework of law and order that was supposed to give your life meaning. Gone. Consumed by something so catastrophic that the word catastrophe doesn't come close to describing it. You survive that night, and that is where most stories would end with relief. But this is Leon Kennedy's story, and surviving Raccoon City is not the end of his suffering. It is the beginning of it. Because the real tragedy of Leon Kennedy is not what happened to him on his first day. It is what that day made him, and what the world then demanded he keep becoming forever. Let's go back to who Leon was supposed to be. He was a good kid. He believed in things. He believed in the law. He believed that systems existed to protect people, that institutions were built for a reason, that putting on a badge meant something. He went through the academy. He learned the rules. He showed up, and what he showed up to was a city full of the dead. Not the kind of dead that grief counselors prepare you for. The other kind. The kind that gets back up. Here is what that first night actually cost him that nobody measures properly. Leon Kennedy lost his entire framework for understanding the world in a single shift. Everything he had been told about how reality worked, about safety, about institutions, about the covenant between society and the people who protect it, all of it dissolved in one night. Most people never recover from that kind of foundational collapse. The psychological term for it is something like shattered assumptions. When the world reveals itself as fundamentally different from what you believed, you don't just lose information. You lose the structure that held your sense of self together. Leon Kennedy lost that structure at 21 years old, on his first day, before he'd even drawn his first paycheck. And then, instead of being given time to process any of it, he was handed a new mission. Here is where the trap closes. Leon survives Raccoon City and immediately gets absorbed into a government apparatus, an organization so classified, so removed from everything normal, that it might as well be a different dimension from the life he thought he was entering. He becomes an agent, a specialist, the person they send when something so wrong has happened that regular systems cannot address it. Think about what that actually means day to day. It means every mission Leon goes on is, by definition, a situation that has already failed. He is never called in preventively. He is never called in when things are going well. He is called in when a facility has been overrun, when a bioweapon has been unleashed, when the worst-case scenario is already in progress. His entire professional life is defined by arriving after the disaster has started and trying to survive it. He is not a soldier in the conventional sense. He is a cleaner. He is the person who enters rooms that other people have already died in and tries to make it out the other side with whatever the mission requires. And he does this again and again and again. Raccoon City. Then a village in rural Europe where an entire population has been parasitically overtaken, then a South American facility, then an Eastern European nightmare, then another outbreak, then another mission, then another facility, then another monster, then another facility, then another monster, then another organization with another weapon and another agenda, and another room full of bodies he has to walk through to reach the objective. Do you understand what that accumulation does to a person? There is a concept in trauma research about chronic versus acute trauma. Acute trauma is a single catastrophic event. Chronic trauma is what happens when the catastrophic event never actually stops, when the conditions that produce the original wound keep reproducing themselves, over and over for years. The nervous system never gets to complete its stress response because the stress never actually ends. Leon Kennedy has been living inside chronic trauma since he was 21 years old. Every mission reactivates everything the last mission left unresolved. Every monster he defeats is followed immediately by the next mission briefing. Every person he fails to save is added to a list that keeps growing. He never gets a debrief. He never gets therapy. He never gets to sit in a room and say out loud what it actually felt like to watch an entire city die around him before he was old enough to rent a car. He just gets another assignment. Now let's talk about the thing the games show you but never quite name. Leon Kennedy smiles. He makes jokes. He delivers one-liners in situations that would reduce most human beings to complete psychological collapse. He flirts. He blinks at the monsters and keeps moving. He performs competence and even charm in environments of absolute horror. And that performance is the most heartbreaking thing about him. Because what Leon has done, what he has had to do to keep functioning, is develop a persona so thick, so polished, so consistently maintained, that it has become indistinguishable from who he actually is. The jokes are not confidence, they are armor. The cool demeanor is not peace. It is a controlled dissociation that has been refined through years of encountering things that the human mind was never designed to encounter. This is a man who has seen things that make Raccoon City look like a prologue. And he smiles. And he keeps moving. Because the alternative is feeling it. And feeling it is not something his life has ever given him the space or the safety to do. There's also Ada Wong. And this is where Leon's pain gets almost cruel in its specificity. Because Ada represents the one constant in his emotional life, the one thread of genuine feeling that he has been unable to cut. And she is a lie. She is an operative. She works for different people, different agendas, different versions of the same corrupt architecture that produced every outbreak Leon has ever fought through. She helps him. She uses him. She saves him. She distrays him. She despairs. She reappears. She is never fully on his side, and she is never fully against him, and he never stops caring about her. Think about what it costs to keep carrying something like that. To have the one person who represents some kind of emotional reality in your life be someone whose fundamental orientation toward you is permanently ambiguous. Leon does not get to grieve the relationship because it never fully ends. He does not get to move on because she keeps coming back. He does not get closure because that is not what she is built to give him. He carries it. The way he carries everything, without putting it down, without admitting how heavy it is. By the time you reach the later chapters of Leon Kennedy's story, something has shifted, not in a loud, dramatic way, in the quiet way that real change happens. The kind you only notice when you compare who someone used to be to who they have become and realize you cannot trace the exact path between those two versions. The Leon of Raccoon City believed in institutions. He had been failed by them catastrophically on day one, but he still arrived with faith in the framework. Something in him still believed that the system could work, that the right people could make things right, that there was a legitimate structure worth protecting. The Leon of later years does not have that faith. He replaced it with something harder and colder, a personal code, a set of behaviors maintained not because of belief in any larger system, but because the alternative is becoming something he refuses to become. He is not fighting for the government anymore. He is not fighting for any ideology. He is fighting because stopping feels like betraying every person he failed to save along the way. And he cannot live with that. This is not growth. This is calcification. This is a man whose humanity has been compressed into a smaller and smaller space over years of compression, until what remains is dense and functional and almost entirely sealed off from the softness that used to live there. He is effective. He is disciplined. He is one of the most capable people in any room he enters, and he is profoundly structurally alone, in a way that probably cannot be fixed anymore. In a way that the life he has lived has made permanent. Leon Kennedy saves people. That is the record. That is what the missions show you. Raccoon City survivor. Presidential daughter recovered. Multiple outbreaks contained. Hundreds, maybe thousands of lives preserved because of what he does. But here is what does not make the record. The person Leon was supposed to become. The cop who believed in things, who wanted to protect his community, who showed up that first day with optimism intact, that person did not survive Raccoon City either. He just wasn't recognized as a casualty. He had no name on any memorial. He got no acknowledgement. He simply stopped existing over the course of years of missions that each took something he was not going to get back. And what replaced him is a weapon. Extraordinarily well made, devastatingly effective, completely necessary for the world that produced it. But not a person who gets to rest. Not a person who gets to sit with grief. Not a person who gets to admit even once that the weight is too heavy and the silence is too loud, and the list of people he failed to save has gotten so long that he cannot remember all their faces anymore. He does not get that. He gets the next mission, and he picks up the weapon, and he goes. Because that is what Leon Kennedy does. That is all he knows how to do now. The most devastating part of that sentence is not the resignation in it. It is that somewhere, very far down, under everything that has been built on top of it, he still believes it matters. That belief is the last thing they never took from him, and it is the thing that will keep destroying him for the rest of his life.